Hi there, it's Natalie Rose Martin, founder of Arbor Vitae Mystery School. And Arbor Vitae Mystery School is indeed a PMA. What is a PMA? A PMA is a private membership association, and there are variations on this theme that we'll get into later on in the video. I first learned of PMAs in 2012 in midwifery school. They were presented as an option for legal protection for lay midwives practicing without a license. And really, any profession that would conventionally be regulated could utilize the structure of a PMA to practice privately. In addition to the legal protection, the thing I really appreciate about PMAs is an opportunity to articulate the agreements that we work within the container in question. So writing your PMA is an excellent opportunity to articulate the nuances of who you are, what you're offering, and who you serve. But before we go too far down that road, let's back up a bit and look at the foundations of what a PMA is. So before there was such a thing as licensure, folks just did their work in exchange for value and went on about their business. Over time, regulatory agencies developed with the story of serving the purpose of standards of practice and safety for the people. Sadly, the illusion of safety is just that. And over time, we as a people have traded our freedom for it. Life is a living hologram of feedback mechanisms that comes with inherent risks. I mean, let's face it, the only ones getting out of here alive are ascended masters. So we find ourselves in a heavily regulated culture, which more and more is prescribing courses of action which are actually quite harmful. And many of us are seeking ways to regain our freedom, the safety we can create for ourselves, and responsibility for the inherent risks of being alive on planet Earth at this incredibly precipitous evolutionary time. And so, an excellent tool for this process of reclaiming sovereignty is the simple and powerful lawful structure known as a PMA. Again, PMA stands for Private Membership Association. So we're moving from the public domain or jurisdiction into the private domain or jurisdiction. If you want to understand more about jurisdiction, check out this video. But for now, we'll stay focused on PMAs, which can include private membership associations, as I've already mentioned, private wellness associations, private health associations, and plain old private associations. PMAs are protected through the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the United States Constitution, and the First, Fourth, Fifth, Ninth, 10th, and 14th Amendments to the US Constitution. PMAs are also protected through the Canadian Charter of Rights in Section 2, and PMAs are protected under the common law. A private domain is different than a public domain and is protected. And here we have some case law to back that up. Okay, the private domain has been referred to as a sanctuary from unjustified interference by the state. Yes, please. It's referred to as a constitutional shelter, and as a shield. PMAs do not fall under the jurisdiction of local, state, and federal governments and corresponding statutes and regulations, okay? They are a separate, private structure existing within the private domain or the private jurisdiction. So we really have a lot of room to offer our goods and services to our chosen members within the container of the PMA, but the freedoms are not unlimited. The general rule of limitation is if a PMA does not present a clear and present danger of substantive evil, then federal and state government authorities and agencies may not interfere with the activities of the association. This means that if a PMA does present a clear and present danger of substantive evil, then government interference would be warranted. So you can't use a PMA to do something that would generally be considered a crime. However, practicing within a PMA, serving only private members and not the public, eliminates the need for licensure. Members of a PMA have the right to contract with each other and conduct business activities as they choose. So the structure of a PMA, similarly to an express trust, which you can learn about in this video, relies on contract law. Now, we'll go over the elements of a valid contract here in a minute so you can understand what is required for a binding agreement. But we'll forego calling it a contract in favor of compact or agreement to stay in the lawful jurisdiction of the private and avoid moving back into the statutory legal territory of the public. Now, I do not recommend hiring an attorney to draft your agreement. Attorneys are sworn to the bar, which stands for British Accredited Registry, which leads straight to the Crown. Attorneys are trained in process, codes, and statutes. That's all very complicated. God's law is simple. And we lean right into the elements of a contract to create our PMA agreements or compacts. So first we have an offer. I have something. Then acceptance. You want it. Consideration. You choose to invest. There has to be a meeting of the minds where we agree to exchange. It's important that we each understand what we're agreeing to here, which brings us to competency and capacity. We are both aware and capable of making this decision. This includes being of sound mind, being of the age of majority, and not being heavily intoxicated. Okay, another element is identification of the parties. Our names have to be written on the agreement. And then finally, legality. As I said earlier, you can't create a PMA to commit crimes. Any contract to commit a crime would be deemed invalid by a court. But it is the court's responsibility to uphold contracts, and any agreement or compact that contains these elements will be upheld in court. Now, just like any other organization, a PMA is supported by its founding documents. A properly formed PMA will have the PMA agreement, which we've been talking about, and will also have articles of association. Note that's not articles of incorporation because we are not incorporating. This is not a corporation, it's an association. And bylaws. The articles of association and the bylaws describe the inner workings of the organization and how it operates. To make the formation of your PMA official, you would have the articles of association notarized, and then you would have the option to record that document at the county clerk of courts, which is probably at your local courthouse. All of these elements together support a solid organization. And templates for all three documents are available through Arborvitae Mystery School. So that's it. It's really very simple and exciting to have access to this very powerful lawful structure within which we can conduct our affairs in the private. Now, to make it super easy for you to get started right away, creating more freedom for your life, your business, and your family, I have created the free Outer Sovereignty Starter Kit, and you can find the link in the description below. Not only does the Outer Sovereignty Starter Kit contain a PMA template, it also contains lessons on jurisdiction, which you really need to understand if you're going this route, and instructions for depositing lawful money only, which will eliminate all income tax that you might potentially owe otherwise. So help yourself to that. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you next time.